It looks like you set up a personal server, you set up your own email so that you would have control of those emails, and you alone would decide when to release them, whether to release them, and in fact that is what happened.
Well, Savannah, first of all, it was allowed, and I've said it wasn't the best choice. And I have gone further than anybody that I'm aware of in American history. Now, that's not a long history because we haven't had emails that long, but as long as we've had them, I've gone longer and farther to try to be as transparent as possible. Nobody else has done that.
That was former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton giving herself a big pat in the back, elbow hurts, for being the essence of transparency during her email controversy. In fact, the most I don't know, email's been around for 20 years, the most transparent person in email history. It's like inventing the internet or something. Well, now we've learned from the Homeland Security Committee that emails from the former First Lady's private server, managed by Platte River Networks, were accidentally transferred to another offsite server run by a private separate company called Datto. Also revealed, the Clinton camp directed the aforementioned Platte River Networks, the private firm hired to manage her email servers, to erase sent emails after 30 days. Okay, so we've done this on this show less than 25 times. All right, so for number 26.
24, yeah.
Yeah, we're 25 at this point. Let's go in another direction here, shall we?
Okay.
All right, because I think we could all agree, even the Democrats sitting at the table, that she's done something very wrong here, despite her saying that it was allowed. No, it wasn't. There was a memo specifically from the Obama administration saying you cannot do this.
Right.
All right. And then when everybody says, well, Colin Powell did it, nuh-uh. He didn't have a private server in his basement and then in a bathroom and then this other Datto, Mr. Roboto company. Yeah, who knows where they were. So we all agree that, okay, it's BS.
Right.
So I'm bored with this. Because it keeps dripping, but we never quite get to a smoking gun. So this is...
That's what they want.
Okay,
they want
explain.
Americans... I mean, if I were working on the Hillary Clinton campaign, which let me make very clear, I am not, I would be saying, let this play out. Let this... It's all wonky and like it's over the heads of most people. It probably won't get to indictments, at least during the campaign, and if it does...
Why do you think that?
I think that this is a long process, and it's just the process is so long, and if it happens...
380 days to the
380 days, but you have, you have to go to Congress, you have to go through approval process, you have to, I mean, they still have to go through the emails, and there's going to be court filings,
okay, so you don't think
lawyers and lawyers and lawyers and lawyers. So... with all that being said, Hillary Clinton's campaign is saying, let this play out, let's get through Benghazi, and January 1st is really going to be the moment where we go full force, and it's going to be the Hillary, I mean, they're already doing a little bit, but that's when the campaign becomes the campaign.
To go to a point that you had earlier, Quinnipiac has a poll out today that shows that the two most untrustworthy people are Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton in this race. Hillary is like over 60% in swing states, yet they're the front runners. So, Rabbi, does trust matter? Let's go religious here. Does trust matter at this point? Or
trust matters tremendously to the American body politic. It doesn't matter to the party faithful. The party faithful on the Democratic side have completely bankrupted trustworthiness, and they're going to go with who they think is the heir apparent. Republicans have said we're sick of politics in general, which is really dangerous, because when people tire of politics, democracy suffers. So what we basically have is a person who has no trustworthiness except the most ideologically committed and staunchly partisan, which is making political culture worse, and a Republican body politic says, oh my God, a pox on all your houses. We will take Donald Trump, Ben Carson, and Carly Fiorina over anyone who's ever held office. Why? Because they've never held office. That's a weird place to be.
What happens when the pox is on the house? What does it collapse? Like, do you get disease? When you put a box in a house, what's the ramifications?
You need a shaman to come and purify the house. And it may be that part of that's what's going on here, that the Democrats are going to have to flush this out. Literally, and probably that means she does get indicted and Joe Biden does enter the race and he can feel like a decent guy because it's only under those circumstances, and Republicans will have to live with that choice.
Perfect transition to Joe Biden, who happens to be, he's not a candidate, but he's the most trustworthy guy out of everybody. He's a little bit of Ben Carson, who's a front runner at least in one or two polls on the GOP. So does that the impetus for Biden to jump in that, hey, you could trust him and I get all the Democratic goodies, and that's why I would support him, because he's like Hillary, except I like him, I could have a beer with him, and I can trust him.
Yeah, well, I think it's certainly, he'll play to his strengths, and he's perceived as being a trustworthy person. So to that extent, if Hillary's untrustworthy, he's a great foil to her. But I think to your point about the drip, 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 and the Clinton campaign would like to see this drag along for as long as possible and probably past January 1. You have to ask, who does that benefit? And why is it dragging so long? Because it's really the State Department, it's the Justice Department, and the rest of the Obama-controlled government that's allowing it to drip. And I personally think that the Obama people dislike Hillary Clinton more than anyone else, and they would love to see that drip, drip, drip ultimately cave on her. And that will benefit Joe Biden ultimately, because he's viewed as the most viable of the potential competitors.
And you know who runs the Obama administration. It's not President Obama. It's not Joe Biden. It's Judge Jarrett.
Judge Jarrett.
Yep. Judge Valerie Jarrett, who does not like Hillary Clinton.
Friends, they are not.
They're not, right?
Right, there's a lot of animosity. I think you're 100% right. That animosity is deep and abiding, and I think they are loving every minute of this. Fair or not, they're loving it.
And so are we. From an entertainment perspective, only in theater we are. Anyway, we have to move on, unfortunately. Well, Mrs. Clinton may act like her email scandal is no big deal, but presidential hopeful Dr. Ben Carson thinks this is just one of the many reasons why she will never be the Democratic nominee.
I really don't think Hillary's going to be the nominee.
Then why not?
Because I think even the Democrats are smart enough to realize that that would be a disaster for them.
And do you think, I mean, do you see Bernie Sanders? Do you think it's going to be Sanders, or do you think Biden gets in, it's Biden?
I believe Biden will get in. If they're logical in any sense, I think that would probably be what they would do.
Be sure to check out more of Steve Malzberg's one-on-one sit-down with Dr. Ben Carson tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's right after this show. So are you shocked by these latest revelations regarding Hillary Clinton's email server? Shocked? Well, okay. NewsmaxTV.com/comments. Let us know. Coming up next, President Obama getting ready to release 6,000 inmates. Fun fact.